chains. Through battles waged and fought, through victory and pain, by test of their courage, our freedom was gained. In homage to those gone before us, the heroes of lands in the sun, we vow to join hands and to focus on building one Caribbean. Raise your voices high, sing of your Caribbean pride. Sing it loud and strong, feel our hearts beat as one.
Welcome, brothers, welcome, sisters, welcome to our program On Target. Brothers in the diaspora, those listening to us on Facebook, the internet, any part in the world, you are listening to us, welcome to our program. You can pick up the telephone immediately and give us a call. The number to call is 442-0175. We speak about anything: politics, religion, socio-economic issues, issues trending, topical issue. But the most important thing, you can interrupt us at any time and introduce your own subject matter. And we believe that people must have the able to express themselves and discuss issues and don't necessarily have to get angry. None of us have all the answers. But if we come together and we develop the culture of discussing issues, coming up with solutions and options, our life will be better. Our family will be better. Our country will be better. Every group of people discussing an issue could serve as a think tank for ideas, for options, and for solutions. In this period in Grenada is election time. All Grenadians ready for election, except perhaps the Prime Minister, the man who could call the date. But otherwise, it seems to me, on the ground, all Grenadians ready for election. And as a result of that, different groups, different organizations pick up the political flag, pick up the spear, and they're ready for battle. Some of them only recognize that they're not supposed to go in the front when they start to declare war. The busmen in Grenada, people who, and a lot of busmen here, I believe we have over 500 buses in Grenada. And if you just check busmen and conductors, that is a significant group. In a small country like Grenada with 100,000 people, that group of people have a lot of power. But normally they buy a bus, they get they pay the license, they have the insurance for the buses, they prepare to pay the court for breaking the law, and they're walking around with a problem inside the bus. Never want to solve the problem. It is difficult to understand this group of people. Young people, most of them, dynamic people, hard-working people, but they like to carry the problem like a trophy. They don't want to solve it. These busmen have association. But if the association cannot function, if they don't know how to negotiate, they don't know how to lobby. We have a number of retired trade union leaders, good trade union leaders, that either retired from the trade union or with time they were voted out. They are good trade union leaders with experience. My discussion is, why the busmen don't employ one of these trade union leaders to negotiate on their behalf? What they're negotiating about? a negotiator could go around and lobby insurance companies and see where we can get the best deal. If we sell to our members outside to insure with your company, it could save the busmen hundreds of dollars. Just by the busmen dealing with one insurance company and you're looking for the best deal, that individual may do comparison with the rest of the Caribbean and provide the best option. Yes, we're dealing with a small market. Because of the fact that busmen always believe government must help them, as how they're helping school children. They could go to the government and government perhaps could agree, lobby the government to insure their vehicles with that said insurance company. The busmen in Grenada, and St. Vincent, and Dominica, and St. Lucia, perhaps they could even start their own insurance company. Sometimes I wonder what goes on in the head of our people. Why do we believe we cannot solve our problems? Why we think we must criticize only? Why we believe it's only politicians must come up with answers? And I believe we have some of the best politicians in the region. I believe our politicians are very dedicated, committed, conscientious, very good, caring people. I believe they are better than almost all other professional groups in Grenada. Because when you become a politician, you have to deal with everything. You're an all-rounder. You have to solve the problem of the legal fraternity. You have to solve the problem of the church. You have to solve the problem of the trade union and all other interest groups. Every other professional deals with their forte. But a politician have to be all-rounder. We have a caller on the line. Caller, welcome.
Yeah, Mr. Pierre,
yes, my brother, welcome.
The Prime Minister said something about how we having a meeting like the NC coming in the same area and have a meeting, and to me, I don't find that should be right. You know what I mean? We got to watch politics from the 70s come back and we see what it takes. You see, how prevention is better than a point of cure. You have some people, you know what they're thinking. Not everybody, but you know in between you go find it. And what I noticed, the Prime Minister addressing the nation and they are addressing the nation on the hill of the Prime Minister against that. I don't know if they have strategy, but that thing looking strange. So take care, Mr. Pierre.
Somebody raised that issue with the meetings, and I think the Prime Minister must see the long experience in politics that he has. Maybe you do not want any unnecessary conflicts, so he is sending out that. But I, in one, have a lot of confidence in our people, and I believe radio personalities and other people are the one inciting conflicts. And I believe if radio personalities tone down and continue to encourage people to behave themselves and don't highlight little molehills, we could have a meeting in Sates and have a meeting in Chantimel. But I understand the Prime Minister, the political guru that he is, he hoped that with some of this bitterness that parades the political dynamics, he wants to avoid any form of conflict. And I could understand that. So that would be a matter for the police. Because the NDC, one political party, might be trying to neutralize the effect of the other one. So the Prime Minister spoke yesterday, and all the discussion now is on what the Prime Minister says. So the opposition perhaps would want to speak too. So they will move some of the momentum from the Prime Minister's address to theirs. And since there is no law against it, then I think it is fair play. because there is no law against it. You see, in Grenada, we tend to lack arbiters. We tend to lack the voices of people who speak on issues. We have a caller on the line. Caller, welcome.
Good afternoon.
Yes, my brother, welcome.
Mr. Pierre, the address last night, yeah? I want to comment on that.
Go right ahead.
Mr. Pierre, the Prime Minister invited a lot of people down there to our address. What's the sense of this address, Mr. Pierre? Is it the Prime Minister looking for sympathy? Is he joined in and is holding on to a straw and need help or something? What was the reason of all this MPs and ministers and hierarchies of government being invited to the meeting, Mr. Pierre, to the national address? You see that making sense? I thought he was announcing the date. Because everyone went down there when they could have been in the comfort of their homes and beds, sleeping, or listening to the address. Why he carried them down there, Mr. Pierre?
I think I'd have to disagree with you. The pension issue is one of the most harsh economic, it will have one of the most harsh economic reality in Grenada maybe in the last 100 years. It affects the public service. You have a situation where the unions don't even want to come and sit down to a discussion on that issue. Where the lawyers advise the unions not to go and negotiate. It makes it more important that the Prime Minister call in, I thought he should call in a wider cross-section of people and to have them face to face listen to the issue. My brother, this issue is easy for Kit Mitchell. 5 or 10 or 15 or 20 years from now, political parties will be still grappling with that. This could drive this economy into the wilderness. This could cause serious cut in social programs. You see, my brother, when Mr. Blaze had to deal with the issue, he retrenched workers and he cut social program. When George Brizan had to deal with it, he cut social program and he retrenched workers that was not united, was not unionized, like Melbourne workers, Boulogne workers, the estate workers. George Brizan sent them home.
Right.
You see, this issue is no common issue. It is a very important issue.
Mr. Pierre, yes, we know that it's a bread and butter issue.
But it is not a bread and butter issue. This is not bread and butter. This is more than bread and butter.
Right, I take that. But Mr. Pierre, the court have ruled on the matter. Eh? You listened to the Prime Minister last night, Mr. Pierre.
Stop there. Stop there. Remember, they brought the matter to court and the court ruled on it. But yes, you could go to the High Court and you could go to the Privy Council.
Well, that's what I'm coming at. But the Prime Minister is saying that they would not appeal the case, yeah? He said that many times last night. But after all, he's coming and say he's telling you that he's going to pay the money, and then he's coming back and tell you he's not able to pay because there is other people in the sector that need money.
Caller.
Yes.
This issue, perhaps you don't understand the economic depth of this issue.
People the assurance that you will pay, and then in the end you're saying that you will not be able. It's a game, and then you put 3 months. He said 3 months where he put up that committee to look into the matter. I think the Prime Minister is playing games with Grenadian people, Mr. Pierre. He's playing games. And Grenadians need to wake up. Why you carry all these people down there last night thinking is... I think what goes around, Blaze had told him that. What goes around comes around.
Chief, my brother, on this issue, if individuals could strip the politics from it, it's better for all Grenadians. I've been around long, I'm tongue long.
I know.
I was there when the revolution passed the Pension Disqualification Act. My brother, I was there when trade union was afraid to squeak.
I know you was in that room.
I was around long, and I know the economic consequences of that ruling. I am extremely disappointed with the trade union leaders. I thought they was extremely dumb and immature. But I understand that they're jumping up in donkey glory and gallivanting, and they have already pulled a political flag. But the workers of this country is affected the most when we have an economic situation. Workers will be retrenched, government will cut social program, and taxes will be raised. And this is not a joke. The Prime Minister right to call people. I disagree with the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister should appeal the case. Even if it is to buy time, he should appeal this case. This case could cost over, my brother, this case could cost over $600 million. And I think what should happen, you know, this is when I call a lot of people in Grenada jokers. The lawyers gave us a raw deal. The Public Workers Union, the Technical and Allied Workers Union, the Teachers Union had lawyers. From 1983, this union had lawyers. And the union, they were taking the advice of the lawyers.
The government had lawyers as well. Who was the lawyers for the government? It wasn't two treating plus the Attorney General. They had lawyers and they paid them a lot of money to represent the government. So I think it was a waste of time.
Thank you for your opinion, brother.
Have a nice day.
Yeah, you're welcome.
You too.
Yeah. I think this issue a lot of Grenadians needs to understand what this issue is about. I take strong objection with the trade union style sometimes. I believe the trade union seems thirsty for a fight. I noticed 3-4 years they did not even want to exhaust the protocol in place to settle dispute. The church was begging them, a number of other people was begging them to sit down and negotiate. Yes, Caller Punch.
Good evening. Good
yes,
afternoon.
My brother.
I thought last night with the Prime Minister that wasn't something that was necessary by the Prime Minister to do, you know, in the sense that
what was not necessary?
You didn't have to take the Prime Minister having a discussion like that to bring the understanding to a lot of people that claim to be intelligent in Grenada and still yet plain they don't understand what the Prime Minister is saying. Because from the time the court ruling and the whole what is the outcome of it, they know straight up that is something on the backs of the Grenadian people, the economy. That is not our Kit Mitchell as they're trying to make it so they get the money like it's in his pocket or in his bank account. He has to get it to pay the public servants. The problem is, and I just can't understand why, the government never denied that money shouldn't be paid. At all times, the Prime Minister and the government said that they would not appeal the court matter.
Well, I disagree with the Prime Minister on that he should appeal.
Well, I mean, I don't know why he didn't want to.
But maybe the Prime Ministers also understand, and there's a lot of individuals within the government that form the trade union. So even within the government, you have a lot of trade union leaders that are very sympathetic to this issue. So perhaps I understand that position too.
But what I'm trying to really bring out now, the whole idea about it, this is not a Kit Mitchell government or the NLP government create that problem. That is a problem I've been hanging around for so many years. And if this government know that come and see that the people should be getting the pension, this government never denied that. They're not opening the gates for this thing happening now. This government that bring it to where they could bring it to court now. It's the same government that has done it now. All the years gone by, they couldn't touch it. Because nobody ever wanted to have a conversation about this thing. They leave it just as that. The same NDC that jumping up to this. And a lot of them playing the support of NDC because NDC will do better than that with the pension. They never wanted to have a conversation with them. Both times in government, they've been there twice. They care about workers, they care about pension. They never discuss that. They never wanted to have a talk about it. It's the same government today that says, okay, in 2030 when they came back, let us go and see what we could do about the pension. It is important that the people get that money because when they go home, it's not nice to sit home and doesn't have a pension or get no gratuity. And the government opened the gate by way today they could have carried the matter to court. And yet, the ruling the government yet didn't go against the ruling. They never said they would appeal it. What the Prime Minister is didn't say? The money has to be paid. We're not denying it, but look at what has to be done about it. We cannot just pick up helter-skelter and say we're going to get all this money to be paid when we have different sectors of people to take care of in this country. And that is the problem I'm having with this fraction of people. They don't care about nobody else than themselves. They want to see everything else done and they don't have money. I don't know why they don't care about people that wasn't fortunate as them to have a job like what they had.
Thank you, Color. You see, in this period in Grenada now, where election is imminent, we kind of blinded. And everything is seen through the political microscope. And absolutely nothing is wrong with that. But sometimes there are some voices in Grenada that never perform as an arbiter, even in explaining issues. We have a caller on the line? Caller, welcome. Yes, caller, welcome.
Yes, Mr. Pierre, good afternoon.
Go right ahead.
Good afternoon, Mr. Pierre.
Yes, my brother.
The first caller you talked to, he ain't have no sense.
Well, he's expressing his opinion.
Yes.
So, and I think sometimes what people try to do is to take it and turn into a political issue against Keith or this person.
Exactly what he's doing.
So sometimes you try to get them back that this issue is too important for us to treat it as a straight political issue. You know? So the caller know what he's doing, he has sense, and he is trying to twist it politically.
So why since he has sense, he have to talk so much to bring this for the world to hear?
Yeah.
Is the world really listening?
Yeah.
So he must tell himself he must have sense and talk make sense.
Yes, thank you, caller. Yeah. This pension issue, and I think what government is worried about the most is the backlog, the debt, the lump sum that is required. And this is why I had difficulties understanding, well, I think the trade union position is kind of irrational. It's unfortunate that they decide to, nothing's wrong with politics, but you have to always implement politics in the interest of your workers. Yes, caller, welcome.
Good afternoon, Mr.
Yes, my brother.
Hold on. Yeah, Mr. Pierre, I listened to the Prime Minister's address to the nation last night. It was a wonderful address. You see, what the Prime Minister is concerned about? He's only concerned about people who work in and people who retired. There are a lot of people outside in Grenada who don't work in, and they need the assistance of the government. And the government have to look after everyone. Even those who criticize it, they have to look after them because they have the transportation. They go call upon the government to fix road to do that. Right? So the government has to look a holistic way everyone. And I want to say, the government speak about the God said in His word, whatsoever you do unto the least, you do it unto me. Right? And I will say, Grenada is a Christian country. And if we consider Grenada to be a Christian country, we cannot want to suffer for some people to suffer for we to gain certain things. If we love ourselves, we have to love our neighbor. As that is fundamental in a Christian society. We have to love one another. I want to say to you, let us put aside our politics and let us look at the big issue. Look at what could happen. Well, not only those who walk in, everyone will be going through that difficulty to pay with that money with the pension. Everyone will have to go through it. Because it's not that 2 years thing, that's something that you would just pay, no, and they'll forget. The money we have to talk about, like they get money to buy back Grand Lake. Grand Lake is a one-off thing. You get money to pay, but Grand Lake can make it back, you can make it back that money. Even the National Stadium, you get the National Stadium make it itself. It's something that the government invests in, and that's a one-off thing. But that pension thing, you have to constantly pay that every month. Because every time you have people retired, they go be filing another scheme. So it's something the accountable thing. It's not like a one-off thing. So I want to say to people, put aside politics. Look at the brighter side of things. That we have to care and love one another, because care and love is key. And you cannot love someone and hate others just because you want to get something. Because I consider your neighbors that may have the children go to school, and then if you have to send home the less fortunate, that may work it well for $800, $900 just for you to get something, right? It is unfair. As the Prime Minister said, everyone, the government has to look after everyone in the country, because not everybody are working. Even those who go to school, they have to find money for them to pay the bus. That are unable. You have to look at those who have the uniform, other things, the social program. Government has to look after that. And when you listen when people talk about it, like, I'm going to make everybody permanent. Everybody permanent. In a time as that, where that be a patient thing, how that could happen? So, Mr. Pierre?
Thank you, Colin.
Okay.
And sometimes we use the scripture. We say we are Christians, but the same Christians use the cite scripture too, because they say the poor you will always have with us. And one Christian say, Christ take from the rich and he give to the poor. And some people say, God bless the rich. So we pelt the scripture all around the corner. The reality of the day is you have some politician that is not smart. The majority of people in any country come from the lower socio-economic strata. We have a caller on the line. Caller, welcome.
I just want to talk briefly about the incident in terms of the Coast Guard.
Go right ahead.
But
That's all.
But before that, I just want to say I listened to Keith Mitchell last night. It was okay, but it's just that I think he sounded a bit vexed. So I think he needs to calm down a bit and relax. But I don't know if you see that incident in with the Coast Guard, gentlemen.
That's where the gentleman died.
Yeah, I'm really concerned. And they're talking about investigation. Very often you find in Grenada that you're always saying about investigation and this and investigation and that, and you're not hearing anything from it. And then you take the matter to court. It's taking a long time, because right now I know of a family of mine that in the court now about 9 years over a divorce case. And up to now, this thing has not been solved. Lawyer going, 1 minute the case calling, it ain't coming up, the person's sick and all kind of a thing. And the person is looking for justice. So what I was saying, I would really love if the Commissioner of Police get together with Keith Mitchell, because Keith Mitchell is he is head of in charge of the protective services, and probably get with the parents and all concerned, instead of dragging this thing and going to court and have this and all kind of thing. Maybe they could have some form of resolution and dialogue and have some form of compensation and pay the guys, because to have this thing to go into the legal system, it's going to take long and drawn out, and the poor people might die, the people might never even get justice. So I'm appealing to the Commissioner of Police. Keith Mitchell is the head of the government and the head of security and the Coast Guard, to probably meet with them, because from what I hear in the allegation, the Coast Guard run over the guy, and this one was bleeding, and he still put gun to his head, and all kind of a story. You're hearing this, and it seems to me that survivor wasn't too happy how the Coast Guard handled the situation. They felt that they was unfairly treated, and even though in distress, that didn't come to their assistance, and the guy could have been alive. So instead of putting it through the legal system, where the parents want to get redress and some form of justice, meet with them and compensate them and come to a solution, instead of dragging it out, because people are hurting, lives are lost, and I don't know who's right or who's wrong. But from what he's saying is that the Coast Guard run it over, and Clem saying they didn't have this and they didn't have lights, and it seems to me that the Coast Guard was at fault. So please, people, don't drag it through the legal system. Meet with the different parties and come to a conclusion right now, and pay the people accordingly. Thank you.
Yes, Colin, this one is so sad that I've listened to the tears of the young man, I've listened to the policeman, and it is so sad that I have not said anything about it, because I don't even have a clue about the sea and how one overruns one in the sea and etc. Some individuals have been making comment, maybe they didn't have light. I don't want to add anything to it except my sympathy goes out to these young people. And I know perhaps the police would be talking to the family and expressing their sympathies and a representation involved. But because somebody died, you must have some form of investigation. And I agree with you, ma'am. Everything should be done. Everything should be done to try to reach out to this family and help them. And the psychologists in these situations, you have to bring psychologists. When you hear a young man crying, it's not easy. It's not easy. And maybe they should offer some psychological help. I guess that perhaps have, maybe they do that to the family, etc. So basically, that's what we'll see on it. The number to call is 442-0175. And the pension issue is a real issue. I've seen people saying that the Prime Minister should not have made the address on the radio. I disagree with that. I thought bringing all these people together, there will be discussion after on it, establishing a committee to look at it with reputable people. Since you decide not to challenge it in court and address it, setting up a committee with reputable people. This is not about this government alone. This is not about a political party. Government is a continuum, but political parties are not necessarily continuum. And at this stage, maybe the next 5 years is the easiest to deal with it. You have a government that's been in power for a very long time. You have a lot of experience in the government. They have established a lot of contact. Presently now, there's a lot of sympathies for government because of the COVID-19, because of the war that's going on in Ukraine. But if Grenada reaches a stage where government is not stable, remember, the only two leaders in Grenada that was able to manage the unity of the political party to get them to win election more than once is Eric Gary and Kit Mitchell. In Pakistan, over the last 47 years, no political leader has survived this. I think in France is the first time you have somebody winning election after 20-something years. I wouldn't surprise if Francois Mitterrand was the last one. In St. Lucia, I think almost 20 years, we have not had a party returning back. So this level of instability could have serious repercussions in Grenada. In Grenada today, no. All the experienced people is on one side. The National Democratic Congress do not have anybody with serious experience. That must be concerned. In St. Lucia, we have about 3 or 4 prime ministers still actively involved in politics. Yes, caller, welcome. Welcome, caller. We lost
Good morning.
Yes, welcome.
Actually, good afternoon.
Go right ahead.
How you doing?
Good.
I am a Grenadian living abroad, and I listen to Grenada's radio, and I listen to the politics and everything that goes on into Grenada. And I just wanted to address the pension one, and I wanted to address the politics. The first thing that I want to address about the pension is that Grenadians have to come and understand that this is not a quick fix. All right. And the reason why the Prime Minister of Grenada is making the right decision by getting a committee and put them together, and his office doesn't have the time to iron out all the problems. This thing has to be addressed and has to be done on a long-term basis, because it's not just something for tomorrow. It's something that's going to affect Grenadians in the future. For the people that are in government now and not yet retired, that is going to affect them. So Grenadians has to understand that it's not just about giving money, and who is going to be responsible for that money is the people of Grenada, not the government. So a question that I have for Grenadians and the politicians is to ask the question, how are the opposition party is able and will be able to handle that situation if they get into power when the next election comes. And if they can answer that truthfully and honestly to Grenadians, then you make the decision on who you want to vote for. But right now, none of them is addressing it. All they're doing is they're jumping on the bandwagon and they're saying, oh, they want the money right now. And it's just not going to happen. Okay, unfortunately, I lived in the foreign and I'm not in Grenada. But I think they not only the government needs to educate the people on what has to take place and who has to get the budget and kind of break it down so that Grenadian would understand it. It's not a quick fix. And I appreciate you, and I'll hang up and listen to your comment.
Thank you very much, caller, and the people from our diaspora. You all must get involved in our politics at all levels. There are sometimes people make negative comments. There are sometimes people from the diaspora make negative comments. Our country is a small country. We need all on board, particularly the people in our diaspora. They have experience, they have exposure, and they can help immensely in every sense of the word. Sometimes every time we speak about the diaspora, we think it's about money. No. I think about experience. I think about talents. I think also about motivating the people and explaining issues to them. For instance, they are exposed to different pension package and they can tell us here. What we have going on in Grenada, the trade unions is not giving out much information. We have a call on the line. Caller, welcome.
Yes, Mr. Pierre.
Yes, my brother.
I think that the gentleman that just spoke there have spoke very well, and I think that's the kind of conversation that we need to hear now. That gentleman that just spoke to you there was on the ball. This is not a Keith Mitchell or a government situation. All and sundry have to be there. And I thought what the Prime Minister did last night was good because he have invited other bodies. Look at the broad section. Even Mr. Antoine, who was playing politics just a few weeks ago, is still using the service of Mr. Antoine because he thinks he's knowledgeable enough. This is not a situation where government or opposition will get on. Because whoever, when Dr. Mitchell go, you still have that debt to pay. And you still have to put proper structure in place. When Mr. Dickon become Prime Minister, you still have that debt to pay and you still have the police structures in place. All is concerned. And I quite agree that enough education and these things are not there. And we have to blame the government at times. The government that doesn't explain these things thoroughly to people enough. There's a lot of explanation to be done. The crowd that was there yesterday, some people say they shouldn't have been there. I didn't expect it, but I think it's a good thing. You get it into the head of the knowledge of these people, because it's not a situation that a one-off situation, you know. I think people look at it as a one-off thing. Pay the money now, pay the money now. When you pay the money now, you have to pay the money just now again. So we have to take this thing, just like how we had debates around the island talking about the constitution, reform of the constitution. That is how we have to do that, you know. That's a means of reforming the constitution too, you know. Because the constitution says, according to what the lawyers, the judge is saying, that pension should not be broken at all. There should be a thing, and you're supposed to get, you should not be getting, even though you're getting NIS, you should not get anything less. So in other words, NIS seems to be there forever, and pension seems to be have to restore forever.
Yes,
and not just the people that work with government and establish. That's the next thing that people are looking at. It's not just those that are the established list that who are appointed by public service. You know. Every single person that work should get a pension when the time comes. Whether you are what you call it again, established list, or whether you
established or unestablished.
Right, or whether you were appointed or not, you should be getting a pension if you make those years.
Right.
So people have to look at it from that angle.
Yes, caller, thank you. Yes, I think the gentleman, these issues, this scholar says that he blamed the government too for not providing information, and I agree with him. But a lot of these loudmouth Grenadians that speaking, they know better. They could provide information. Our journalists are failing us. Our journalists seems to be pampering, petting the trade union leaders. The trade union leaders was making all sort of issue about a memorandum of understanding, but they're not flaunting it. They're making all sort of issue of a memorandum of understanding. They wouldn't take the article, come publicly and tell the people which article was violated. You was invited into a meeting by the government. The government claimed we're going to have a broad-based discussion on the issue. You refuse to go. In fact, instead of sitting down and coming up with your own think tank and informing the government how they could pay that money, what time limit, what would be the strategy, you hide. When you have an opportunity to sit down and negotiate, you're afraid to go and negotiate, you're not negotiating. Then you declare war on children. And there are so much people in this country that shut them out. And you know why? We have a caller on the line. Caller, welcome.
Good afternoon, Mr. Pierre.
Yes, my brother, welcome.
Mr. Pierre, listen, this pension thing is a thing that everybody, they don't understand it, and they would not understand it because they don't want to listen to nobody. There is no trade union leader, none, that qualify for pension before the next 10 years. None. So all the talking there is garbage. So we still can listen to them.
You have some trade union leaders that work with government that is over 50 years.
Yes.
And then when you reach 60, you have to retire.
Yes.
So they will qualify. And you have individuals that could retire at the age of 50.
Oh.
So they will qualify for pension because it was amended to be 26 years and 8 and 3 months, I think, rather than 33 years.
Yes.
So you have all your age of qualifying.
Okay.
So the situation is a lot of little intricacies, you know. Whether all these things is legal is the next question. If somebody could argue. Right. So this is why the government is arguing that we are not going to challenge the court as it is. But let this committee look at it. Because there may be justification and reasons to go to court again too, you know.
Yes.
So the people who have been set up, only 2 names I could remember. Spencer and Antoine.
Yeah,
right? Dr. Spencer.
Yeah, Dr.
And
Spencer.
these individuals was in the system. Spencer was a teacher. Spencer was a custom officer. And he'd been working with government, well qualified. So he's part of the system. He knows the system.
Right.
So, and he is well qualified. I think he is the leader of the team. Dr. Antoine was one of the chief negotiators for the OECS.
Yes.
So he's experienced, irrespective of the fact that his politics might be different, but on this issue, these issues, individuals are professionals.
Right. And then
so you appeal for the professionalism.
Yeah.
So I think the committee, I don't know the others. I can't remember the name.
Dennis Byron.
Yeah. So you have a good committee, and the trade union should have been there with that meeting to suggest people on the committee.
Of course.
I'm certain the Prime Minister would have asked them, do you have any suggestion? Do you have any objection to the people there? Do you want to put somebody on the committee?
Yes.
Instead of they say the lawyer tell them. Obviously the lawyer want the government to appeal, so they're going to make more money from the trade union leaders?
Of course.
So the trade union leaders have no sense then.
Especially
you're calling it no. The lawyers is enough. Yeah, you just okay. Yes, my brother, thank you. Yes, so these issues need to be discussed, and our journalists could start to probe individuals. The journalists should be probing the members of the National Democratic Congress on issues. Because why I say that? Most of them are new to politics. Some of the individuals in the incumbent, you practically know them. Their actions might be predictable. You might have heard them on different issues. But we have a number of young individuals entering the politics in a period of time when you have serious fundamental issues to deal with that could cause Grenada economy to contract. And it well could be that these individuals cut social program. I am extremely concerned about that. Mr. Blaze cut social program and retrench workers. George Brizan cut social program and he retrenched the worker in the lowest socio-economic strata, the estate workers in Maribor, Moncton, Boulogne, and other areas. Even Shati, that used to sing Calypso, got retrenched under George Brizan period. This government did not cut social program. In fact, they increased social spending in a harsh economic reality. And that is two fundamental difference between the political parties in Grenada. George Walcott from St. Lucia, he was surprised of how marked the social class was in Grenada. It is different from how it is in Jamaica. In Grenada, you could have a man who believes he's the smartest thing since sliced bread, living next door neighbor with a man who's struggling in poverty and he's not prepared to help him. This is why we have 70% of our children that exit secondary school or school in Grenada cannot meet the minimum requirement. And nobody is perturbed because people believe my child doing well. We have a caller on the line. Caller, welcome.
Good afternoon, Brother Pierre.
Great to hear your voice. Good.
I was well.
You was not that well?
No.
So you're back on target now?
Not
You make some improvement?
Yes.
Right, that's good.
Yes.
Good to hear.
Yes. But what I really want to say, Brother Pierre, we have to pray, and we have to pray hard.
That's very, very important in a society. Prayer.
Telling you, prayers beat back anything.
You move mountain.
More than mountain too.
Yeah.
We need a lot of prayers for what going on now. What going on now? In Uncle Gary days, the opposition is still better than what now. If Uncle Gary say no, the opposition go kind of walk with him, he won't walk fast, but he go walk with him. But this fundraising now, if you want to raise your foot, you don't raise it there on a tallest thing and they criticizing you. That is wrong. And what the Prime Minister means, and what the Prime Minister will say not yet, the civil servants and them matching up puppets. And what about the senior citizens that do the work already? Eh?
But that's why it's always important to seek the interests of everybody.
Yes.
A good politician seek the interests of everybody,
yes.
Particularly those like the poor, the older ones.
Yes.
Yeah, particularly this group. Because this group need more help than other groups.
That's right.
And that is why, that is when you find a good politician. So some people, they have the battle, but they can't win election more than once.
No.
Because they have not performed in the interest of the majority of poor Grenadians.
That's right.
Yeah, that is important. So it's good to hear your voice and glad that you're coming back. But back to reality. Yeah.
So God bless you.
Thank you very much.
I love you, darling.
Yes, thank you, and it's good to hear your voice.
Bye-bye.
It must be the concern of people when this discussion is going on. Because if Grenada was in an serious economic crisis a couple of years ago, and we're just coming out from it, and then you are hit with COVID-19, you have a war in Ukraine that's going to affect everybody in the Caribbean because of trade and other issues. And Europe and America and Russia, everybody's attention is in Ukraine now. So countries in the Caribbean region could be seriously neglected. While that is going on, you have a court order because of a technicality in the law that could result in devastating economic consequences to a poor country. This is not United States of America you're talking about. You're talking about Grenada. $600 million is serious money. And that is money in what you call a back pay. That is a debt that has already incurred. But on a monthly basis, the wage bill will be raised to take in the increase in pension spending. So we have a caller on the line. Caller, welcome. Yes, caller, welcome.
Afternoon, Mr. Pierre.
Yes, my brother, welcome.
And to the Grenadian public. When I check back of politics, I always check out Eric legality with his love for sports, education, agriculture. And most of all, he had a charming personality. Good looks, code of dress was excellent. He did not have a briefcase of education. He had the knowledge, the wisdom, and understanding that make him fight for the less unit against the privileged class of Grenada. He was the most hated man in the country by the landowners of Grenada. In the 60s and 70s by those autocratic. But his love for the poor and suffering in Grenada, people made him a great humanitarian. He was a great humanitarian leader of democracy. I don't care what they say about him, about dictator. All that was lies. Then that was that. He was not handpicked. He obtained his power by toiling for the poor and needy and the forgotten people of Grenada. He had mechanical power into service for Grenadians. Those Grenadians pick up on the 1979 to get rid of a dictator, as they say, should have known that the revolt of backfire on them. The 3,100 prisoners they had sleeping on all newspapers. Now children that don't know about Sir Eric, they born yesterday morning. They're still saying that he's a dictator. But anyway, what they did only contribute to the revolution, selfish ends. Thank you, sir.
Yes, my brother, and I think that is important for people always to remember. One of the biggest challenges we have in Grenada, people get into politics and I don't know what poor people do them. I don't have a clue what the poor of the poor do them. There seems that the policy, the attitude is against the people in the lower economic strata. And they have a task on their hand. Because some of these people remember we have the media now. You don't have to go and learn to be a journalist anymore to speak the truth. You don't have to do that. You could just get an opportunity and we provide the medium. So things could be corrected. Malcolm X warned that our journalists could make an innocent man guilty and a guilty man innocent. If our journalists want to maintain their reputation, they must prepare to do a better job when you hear the interviewing these individuals. Some of them stay away from people who would ask them to disfigure the lies that they spread. They distort the truth. They camouflage the truth. And they hide from real individuals. Just ordinary individuals. So I believe the time has come in Grenada for us to be solution-oriented. For us to prepare to offer alternatives. For us to bring up options. For us to serve as a think tank to solve problems. The trade union should establish think tanks in every department so they could be guided by it. The trade union must be prepared to dialogue and communicate more. And how they appeal for the sympathies of the public, they have to provide explanation. You can't duck. You can't hide. You should have your facts and explaining to the public. Not making like a statement on social media and hiding. You wouldn't get away with that. Don't behave like the liar that like weed. You jump up whole time, weed. And as soon as the government introduce in parliament for the first reading legislation that would legalize or decriminalize weed, you change your view now and you're looking for independence for one of the parishes. You realize that the source of income from weed will dry up because police is not arresting people anymore for a spliff. So now you want independence for one of the parish. And he doesn't care if that parish align with New Zealand or Australia once it's not Grenada. I don't know what Grenada has done to this bright, smart, legal mind. I find he doing well in Grenada, but I don't know what Grenada has done to him. And the radio personalities and the journalists would not ask him, why is it you want a parish divorce themselves from Grenada and you don't even mind if they align with New Zealand or Australia. And once again, we want to, as we come to the end of the program, we want the people from the diaspora to know we highly appreciate your role in our development. People have to understand our brothers and sisters in the diaspora have an important role to play in Grenada's development. They could help to motivate their home, the people in their home, and they could give us experience about what is going on in the metropolitan countries. We want to thank you for being with us today, and we're back with you tomorrow between 12 and 1 when you have an opportunity to punch.
The